I posted on LinkedIn the other day that I feel like the tax chick is like my alter ego. And it's the piece of me that's always kind of like been in there deep, and I don't always let it come out, but it is truly who I am.
So Amanda, you have a decade-long experience of working as a counsel in disputes with Canada Revenue Agency and also appeared in front of the Tax Court of Canada on matters of income tax, GST, and employment insurance. You've also taught at University of Saskatchewan College of Law for 7 years. What inspired you to teach, and how do you think your practical experience as a counsel has helped you in that capacity as well?
So my father was a professor for his whole career. He was a professor of anatomy and cell biology. He was a neuroscientist. And so I grew up at the university. Every Sunday I was there with my dad. Teaching was a huge part of his life up until he passed away. And he loved teaching and he loved educating. And that's how I was brought up. And I always wanted to teach as well. I find that I learn better if I have to teach it to someone. And so I've always done a lot of presentations and papers and those sorts of academic disputes. And so I got an opportunity to teach at the college. It was great. I've actually just retired from it after 7 years. And it was a really wonderful experience. So that's kind of what led me to do that. In terms of my practical experience, I think it made a huge difference in the classroom. And so I was teaching wills and estates. In Canada, and I'm not sure if it's the same way in other countries, but in Canada, there's a bit of a fight right now within the law schools as to whether law schools should be policy-based and sort of case law-based and very theoretical, or whether law schools should be practical. And there's a bit of a fight, and the theoretical side is winning. But I think that when you leave law school, you're often very ill-equipped to work in a law firm and to help people. And my practical experience, I think, made a huge difference for the students because they were able to hear, well, here's how this case impacted a client of mine. So here's how it's going to work in real life. And part of what I had the students do is they actually had to work through a fake client file scenario. So they had to draft wills and interview and talk to fake people and create that for them and then keep records for a file so that they have something very tangible that they can hang on to use in practice.
That's great. And so since you've been a teacher and teachers themselves are mentors for their students, who has been your mentor through your journey? And, you think that had it not been for that person, you wouldn't be here. Who is that person for you?
So I've been very fortunate to have a couple of mentors, but I think if we take a step back and think, well, would I have been a tax lawyer without this person? It's pretty easy for me to identify who that is. And that person for me is B.D. Beaubier, who is one of my partners now, but was a senior partner when I started at the firm. And when I started here out of articles, I wanted to be a family law lawyer. And I was taking family law files and I had no experience in tax. I had taken really very little business tax classes in law school, the minimum that was required. And I was really not enjoying family law. It was not feeding my soul. I was just feeling very weird about it. And one day, Beatty came down the hall very early in my career. I would have only been here like 4 months. And one of our senior associates had to move with her husband, and she had been doing tax law. And he had a trial coming up and needed someone to help him. And so he said, do you want to give it a try? And I said, well, I'm really bad at math. Like, I don't think this is a good plan. And he said, no, I just have a feeling you're going to be good at this. Like, you're kind of scrappy. I think this is going to work for you. And so he took me under his wing and I went everywhere with him for about 6 months. And I really got to pick up on his enthusiasm for tax law. And I think that if I hadn't gotten the chance to practice with someone who loved it to the extent that he did, I don't think I would be doing this today. And who taught me the tricks of the trade, brought me to conferences, allowed me to be in rooms that I otherwise would not have had a chance to be in. And so I'm very grateful to him for that.
That's great. And since we are talking about your journey as a tax lawyer, and so what is it to, like to be a tax chick really? And how has your journey been like?
Well, I posted on LinkedIn the other day that I feel like the tax chick is like my alter ego. And it's the piece of me that's always kind of like been in there deep, and I don't always let it come out, but it is truly who I am. So I find being a tax lawyer fulfilling, rewarding, exhilarating. To me, I see it as a form of human rights law because I feel like taxpayers have such difficulty navigating through the red tape of bureaucracy. And I have the opportunity to help them do that. And so for me, that's just so rewarding. So being a tax lawyer is exhausting because the rules are always changing. And I feel like nowadays our clients don't just have assets in one jurisdiction anymore. We have clients with assets in France and England and of course the US and South America. And so suddenly you're having to interact with the tax laws of other jurisdictions as well. So things are always moving. The knowledge base has really expanded as to what's expected of you. But for me, that's what gets me through the day. I could never be in a profession where things didn't change, where it was static, where I learned it once and I was done. I need to have that constant change. And so it's great for me. So that's kind of my role as a tax lawyer. I think that the tax chick has kind of, I don't know, it's come out of the way that I practice. And I think I practice a little differently than a lot of tax lawyers do. I am not your typical tax lawyer. I don't have a commerce undergrad. I don't have a business background. And I don't wear black. I wear leopard and I wear pink and I wear blue. And, I don't like to talk over people. I don't like to use big words. I like my clients to feel empowered. And that's not always the way that people feel comfortable. A lot of other people in the profession find that quite shocking. I don't. I breeds clients that want to be with you and want to stay with you because they look at you as part of their team. And so the tax chick is just me being a very accessible person. And I think it's so important that tax lawyers are accessible to their clients and that it's not that we're on this pedestal. And that's what the tax chick is for me.
And I'm, glad you gave me this amazing perspective of, you considering it as more of a human rights lawyer and not like proper stereotypical tax lawyer.